Life doesn't always start at the finish line. Some journeys begin with nothing more than broken shoes, empty pockets, and an unbreakable spirit. This is the real story of a man who had nothing except a dream and a determination so fierce that he walked 20 miles a day just to build a life no one thought was possible. Today we tell his story, a story that will make you rethink your excuses and believe once again in the quiet power of persistence. Early life, the struggle begins. He was born in a small, forgotten town where opportunities were like rain in the desert, rare and precious. Families struggled to make ends meet. Most days, there wasn't enough food on the table. The walls of their tiny house were cracked and tired, much like the people living inside it. But even as a child, he knew one thing. He didn't want this to be his forever. He dreamed of building a better life, not just for himself, but for his mother, who had worked herself to the bone, and for his siblings, who looked up to him with hope in their eyes. But dreams alone don't pay the bills. Reality demanded action. At 18, he found a job, a minimum wage position at a factory 10 miles away from his home. No buses, no bikes, no shortcuts. Just his 2 feet and a long, grueling road. The first walk, a step toward change. The first morning he set out, the sun hadn't even risen. The air was sharp and cold. Every step felt heavy. Every mile stretched longer than the last. But he kept moving. There were no complaints. No one to pat him on the back. No camera crews documenting his struggle. It was just him. His breath forming tiny clouds in the morning chill, and the whisper of his dreams pushing him forward. He arrived at the factory exhausted, sore, and blistered. But he arrived, and that was enough. Now, the routine, turning pain into power. Day after day, mile after mile, he walked. Through rain that soaked his clothes and chilled his bones. Through summers that scorched the pavement beneath his feet. Through winters where every step felt like walking on knives. Sometimes he would see cars zooming past him. Warm, comfortable, easy. Sometimes he'd wonder why life was so much harder for him. Why no one came to offer him a ride. Why no one even noticed him. But he never let the bitterness take root. He let the pain fuel his purpose. He promised himself, one day I will drive past this same road in my own car, and I'll remember the boy who never gave up. The doubts and setbacks. There were days he wanted to quit. Days when his legs cramped so badly he could barely stand. Days when the skies opened up and soaked him in minutes. Days when his coworkers laughed at him for arriving drenched and muddy. Why don't you just quit, they'd ask. It's not worth it. But he knew better. He understood something most people forget. Dreams aren't supposed to be easy. They're supposed to demand everything you have. He remembered his mother's tired eyes. He remembered the hunger in his belly growing up. He remembered the empty promises life had made to people around him. And he kept walking. The breakthrough, opportunity finds the persistent. After 2 years of walking 20 miles every day, something changed. One morning, the factory manager noticed him. Soaked to the skin but still on time, still ready to work. He pulled him aside and asked, "How do you do this every day?" Without drama, without exaggeration, he simply replied, "Because I have no choice. I have a dream." The manager saw something rare. Good. Character. Reliability. A few weeks later, he offered him a new position, supervisor. Better hours. Better pay. And enough money to finally afford a used car. For the first time in his life, the road home looked a little shorter. A little easier. But by then, he had learned something more important than just reaching the destination. He had learned to trust the journey. The transformation from worker to owner. With his new job, he didn't just stop dreaming. He dreamed bigger. Over time, he asked questions. He stayed curious. While others wasted weekends partying or sleeping, he spent his nights building a future in his mind, brick by brick. 5 years after getting promoted, he launched his own small business. 10 years later, he bought the factory he used to walk to. Imagine that. Owning the very place you once walked 10 miles to just for the hope of a paycheck. He had turned every blister into a building block. Every tear into fuel. Every mile into a monument of his unstoppable will. The reflection, why his story matters. Today, when people ask him the secret to his success, he smiles quietly and says, "I just kept walking. It wasn't luck. It wasn't genius. It wasn't some miracle opportunity. It was steps. One painful, relentless step after another. Day after day. No cameras. No applause. No shortcuts. Just sweat. Faith. And footsteps." Closing message. Speak directly to the audience. Maybe today you feel tired. Maybe you feel like your dreams are too far away. Maybe you're wondering if all your effort even matters. Let his story remind you. Every hard day is building your foundation. Every small step is changing your destiny. Every sacrifice is sowing seeds for a future you cannot yet see. When you feel like giving up, when the road seems endless, when no one claps for you, walk anyway. Because the ones who keep walking, are the ones who change their lives. 1 mile at a time. One step at a time. One unbreakable dream at a time.